G'day viewers, welcome to another super cool repair video from the Goat Shed, the home of EM Pinball Repair, located in Newcastle, New South Wales, Australia. Today is Thursday the 2nd of March 2023 and it's roughly 22 degrees outside, which is approximately 71.5 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, we've already made a video on repairs of the match unit on this game, and what we are going to do now is be able to remove the playfield and the motorboard. But what we'll just go through some of the stuff on this thing and show you what we did in the back box. Nothing too untoward. We mentioned with the video on the match unit, we've shown you that. We encourage you to have a look because that's rather a weird problem. You don't see that every day. Spanky's giving this game the once over. Now this particular fireball is in very good condition. The back box is really a 9.5 out of 10 looking closely at it. There's just a few little marks on it. Now fireball is a very popular game. Spanky's up the top there having a look at it. We've still got the glass on this one, but there's the feature that spinner that throws the ball everywhere and sends it crazy. And we've got the captive ball down the side here, just like 4 million BC. Now one thing you talk about those captive ball units, if there were balls in it, and I suspect there were because there's one jammed up under there under Spanky, you've got to finish the sequence, otherwise it'll kick balls out randomly and do all sorts of weird and wonderful things till you set that straight. So in other words, if there was a ball in the middle switch in here, you've got to roll over the next and then roll under the gate to release the relay so it knows that it's got no ball and the ball can land back in the trough under here. There's 3 balls in this game all up. So we've got like a volcano type thing, they call it an Odin, where when you start that the scores run up and down 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, up and down they go, and you've got to hit the button over here hopefully when you get to 5,000. We've also got the same thing up here with what they call the Wotan feature, but it's slightly different. And we've got the fire gods, release the fire gods up here. And we've got the ramp up the top for a few skill shots. Oh, Now first thing I look at here is we've got a couple of screws missing out of the apron. Here and here. Hopefully we'll be able to find something to put in there. But the playfield also is in really, really good condition. So let's take the glass off and have a look. Alright, now being a Bally, they're a little bit different than some of the other games. For those of you not familiar, we've got the front door open and there's a lever, or should I say lever, just located in here. You have to pull across, see that, you can see that moving, pull it across, and then we can lift off the lockdown bar. We'll lift up the lockdown bar on this, so this hinges up. And off. Don't know if you can see that because Graham was sort of in the road. We were a bit concerned about these 2 balls up here that were jammed in there.
This one's already bent, the plastic.
Yeah, plastic's a little bit bent, but it may well have been like that. Okay, so now we can get a better look at the playfield. So the Bally glass sits on a little hinge arrangement up the back, and up it goes. So it lifts off in a frame. So there's the frame. Alright, for those that haven't seen it, of course. Alright, well what we'll do now, we'll lift up the playfield and we'll have a little look in there and see what we can see. Right. Now, Bally really put a lot of things in their machines And you've got a huge motorboard, as you can see. Look at all those relays. There's, gee, I don't know, there's a few. And some down the other side here. Under the Playfield, look at them all. So they were rather complex in their design. Now, also the way they affixed the motorboard down, where is it? Just here.
4 screws.
There's 4 bolts, but there's often screws located around here. I think that one's been taken out, and also one up right up the back. You've got to search for them. So a lot of people undo those bolts and wonder why the motorboard still won't come up and out. There's the game over relay there. Now, Bally's are notorious for having a bad, or get bad switches on the game over relay. Here's one of the units here. This one is for the, what's this one for? I'll probably just cut my head open then on a screw. That's the flash motor unit. You know, we were saying how the lights go up and down. They've got a little latch on the coil, so that pulls in and allows that motor to spin round and then drops back in, and there's a wiper on there to go to the different things. Now, for the different scoring, I'm trying to say, this is most likely the ball count unit here. And our score motor. What else have we got? We've got lots of things. Bally call them thumper bumpers. Right, and here's the mech for spinning the motor for spinning the disc on the Playfield. They call that the, and there's the 5 something motor. I can't, oh no, the spinning motor, not 5, the spinning motor. It says there, the spinning motor. Threw me off there for a minute. Looks like we've had a flipper changed, coil changed up here. We check all the values of those when we have them out. Here's the ball release coil for the extra balls. It's part of the trough here, that's the ball release coil. Zipper flippers, there's all the switches at the bottom of the zipper flippers. And we actually have, we're lucky, we have a whole zipper flipper assembly here if we need it to make reference to or anything like that. Now, I just counted those relays. There's about 23 relays in the bottom box. So that's a lot to take care of. See what someone's done here? They've made a little flap to go over the transformer. Because that was one thing. Williams and Bally did that. They put the transformer at the front with the lugs facing you there. That was a bit of a problem. It's got one new fuse holder in it. We'll probably change out the other 3. We'll see. But one new one. Remember, Bally have notoriously bad fuse holders and horrible, horrible Jones plugs. Just pathetic, those Jones plugs. There's the little where the Playfield fits in. There's a pin in the bottom of the Playfield. There it is, just there. And that goes in there. What have we got? And of course, just down the front here, you've got all the normal stuff for the coin setting adjustment plugs. Now, this one's got 2 coin chutes. Notice there is provision for a 3rd. Now, often Bally, what they did, and I'm not sure if they've done it on this particular model, but always down around about here, you'll find wires that are sort of bundled together, and they're for the extra coin chutes that may or may not be there. So in other words, that relay there is probably a coin chute relay, and if there was only one coin chute, that'd be missing, and the 3rd coin relay is not there, but it can be fitted, retrofitted in the field, I think was their whole concept. Let's just lift the Playfield up now and show you a little bit better view under it. So there's more relays under the Playfield. You know, they'll be to do with the pop bumpers and a few other odds and ends, but it's full of relays. Oddly enough, the score motor only has, let's see, how many cams does the score motor have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It only has 11, but it's sort of amazing, isn't it, for the amount of stuff under there. Now, with Bally's, unlike a Gottlieb, what you've got to do, you've got to lift the Playfield up, and you can drop it into these notches here and sort of put it into a serviceable position. Now, there's a better look at the zipper flipper mech. There it is there. Get Graham to latch it in place, unlock it. Quite a clever design. Obviously, as they got older, they got a lot of wear in them. Here's a left-hand slingshot assembly just here. And what Bally used these quite often on the on their button switches, or mushroom bumpers, I should say. You can always.
You want the stroke switches?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it looks like the flippers might have new end of strokes, which is, as we said, the chap that had this had done a little bit of work on it. So we're just here to really get it going. So let's show you what we ended up doing around in the back box. So that's the match unit here that we had out. Now it's all good. Listen to it. Ding, ding, ding. It all works. Up above it is the coin unit. Now, all these units, some of these units look like they'd been done by the previous owner. So all we had to do with the coin unit was we took the wiper off, Scotch-Brighted the disc, and then put PBR lube on it. We did the same with the player unit. We didn't need to pull it down. It works very well, so we didn't have to do anything there. And the replay unit was the same. It was good. There's those crappy Jones plugs. Look at them. They're very flimsy on the sides. That's what their biggest problem is. It's the female side letting them down. Well, I suppose that sounds a bit sexist, doesn't it? But it's true. One thing we did find, this on the 0 to 9 unit, this plate here, that it was sort of bent. Now, you can sort of see some burn marks around here. We're not sure, but that, when it was screwed on, was actually hitting this link or join. And of course that had the potential for a short circuit. There's supposed to be like a standoff behind here. We couldn't find what we wanted, so we've put a rubber grommet in there, and that'll suffice for the time being. The bell up there, it's like, I think I mentioned in the other video, that's like a Gottlieb type bell. I don't think that's the right bell. I remember I had a 4 million BC and it was different. And then up behind there, can we get in there? You can just see just the bottom of it. That's the bell adjustment plug. Oh, there you go. You can see that now. Okay, so there you go. You can turn it off 1,000 points, 100, or 1,000, or 100 points. Are the adjustments for it, so that's pretty cool. We've done and checked all the score rails, they were all fine. So now we've mounted this back up, and once we take the mech board out, the motor board, we'll be ready to test it. Top left hand corner, there's your plugs for your scoring adjustment. There's the score adjustment. The good news is it's there, score adjustment chart. That's good. And we've got the old Bally clock number, what is it? 59, it's upside down, isn't it? Inspected fireball. They must inspect them, stamp them, and then tack them on. And often, we didn't look, but let's have a look in the front door. Oh, it's not there, but it often says inspected by Mr. Jones or Mr. Smith or whoever, which is quite cool. Someone out there was collecting those. They were trying to figure out, I think, how many people were on the inspection line. But it's not on this one, or it's fallen off at some point in time. don't think this machine's in free play either, so we'll have to check it out. It hasn't got any coin mechs in it, but we'll have to pay attention to those coin switches to make sure they're okay. Look at the holy hell, look at that. The slam switch has been really bent, I think, just to keep it permanently closed. That's okay, it's not a big deal. So we're going to remove the motorboard now, or the Playfield. What are we going to do? Another thing we just noticed in all those visual inspections, that screw has been put in skew with, and it's gone not through the post, but straight into the hole. Well, that may have even made another hole, so we're going to have to fix that up as well. And I just noticed here too, there's a crack in this plastic, unfortunately, right across. It's not broken, maybe it's been braced. It looks like it may have been. No, I don't think it's been repaired, so gee, that's unfortunate. But anyway, I mean, what can you do? Not sure if you'll be able to get a plastic set for Bally Fireball. But old Bally, they were well known for their gates. So you've got the gate where it comes out of the Wotan here, but also you've got an extra ball gate, so you can go down and save the ball. Sort of not really an extra ball, you can save the ball. So yeah, mushroom. So that's a bit of an overview of where we're up to with this, and we'll carry on with the repairs. Keep you updated. Right, we're ready to remove the motorboard from the machine. So we've removed those bolts that we showed you earlier on from each edge over there. Now, one good thing about Bally that they did, unlike with, say, Gottlieb, they made things with Jones plugs, like that's the knocker Jones plug, so that comes out, makes it easy. If it had chimes in it, which this hasn't, it's got bell in the back, you could remove the Jones plug and take those out. The only thing you've got to unscrew in this case is the on and off switch, with just 2 screws. And that wire there is the earth. Someone had it soldered on. When we replace that, we'll put an eyelet on it so that it doesn't have to break away. Now, this didn't have those screws in it I mentioned earlier on. We'll just show you we can lift up the motorboard like that. We'll draw it out. Now remember, some of the early Ballys had that super cool lever system. You could lift the motorboard up and out. If any of you haven't ever seen that, we've done a video on that way back a couple of years ago. You'll have to go way back in our video library. So there you go. So there's a closer look. We mentioned we've changed one fuse holder here already, and
we'll change the others.
That's actually the line voltage. So here's the 50 volt fuse, the 6 volt, and 2 6 volts. We'll more than likely change them. This machine's come from a long way away, and it's going to require changing. So let's just now go and show you what we've found under the Playfield. So the worst thing we've found is that this bracket that bolts on the back of the Playfield, it's been bent. I'd say it's been pulled up. There's a couple of screws missing out of it. We're going to, and see those moving up and down, so that's going to have to come off and be straightened out in the vise as best we can, and fix that up. They're the little pivot points that the Playfield hooks into. And here's a closer look at this relay bank. Left yellow thumper bumper, right yellow thumper bumper, blue thumper bumper, light rollover, number 1, number 2 light rollover, number 3 light rollover, and yellow thumper bumper. So that's what we've found so far. Now, having a closer look at the flipper mechanism. These are interesting, these. So this is a latch here. So if we lift that latch with my finger, that will restore the mechanism. So you can see there's a latch pull. You push that up, that will go under, and you saw the plate fall down, the armature type plate. There's a closer look at some of the switches for the balls under there. Now we haven't got a schematic with this. I guess if we need one, we can get one off the IPDB, which I'm sure we can, but hopefully we don't have to print it, because that means I've got to go email it to a printer, get them to print it out, go and pay for it, and we don't see that many Bally Fireballs. So that's where we're up to so far. Now we're just carrying on with the repairs underneath the Playfield, and we're into the pop bumpers now. So here's what can make a huge difference to your pop bumpers. You'll notice the spoon switch here is all nice and clean now. That was absolutely filthy dirty. It had all grease and everything around the edges of it. So it's all been cleaned and dremeled. The switches are being cleaned. And the other thing that we noticed, that where the lamps socket solder on, and you have the bracket, or the flipper bracket fits over there, they can touch ground. And each and every one of them was very, very close. So we've put some heat shrink on there to take care of that. Here's a bad one we haven't done yet. So you can see all the dirt on there. It's filthy. So what we generally do, we just get a bit of isopropyl, put it on there, then get a Q-tip, and we'll give that a bit of a clean. There you go. Get Graham to do that, and then we'll give it a Dremel. So that's all necessary. See, look at it all coming off. So that means the edge of your skirt, or the tip of the skirt,
it's got to be clean as well.
It's got to be clean also, but it doesn't, with all that grease on there, it sticks, and you don't get great pop bumper action. So that's an important part of life to fix up. We just use the 443 Dremel tool on there. Does a good job. Now also we've done the flippers. We've put new collars on. These are the old collars here. We put new ones of those on. They go on the end of the plunger. Now also what we found, we had a pin which was sort of sheared on one of the flipper plungers. See the shearing of the pin there? And that's where those collars go on the end there. But they're sliding in and out. So it's not actually the plunger that's running in the coil sleeve, it's this collar. That was a little thing reasonably unique to Bally. I've not seen any other manufacturers use it. So we've had to attend to that as well. Also, if you look closely, look at the damage on that. Let's just take it back. Look at the damage on that. It's really badly damaged. So we put another one in there. See the edges of it? Yeah, pretty bad. So we've done that as well. So the pop bumpers will get overhauled next. Probably put new coil sleeves in those, and then we'll just keep working away and just see what else we've got to find. We've cleaned all this relay bank here. We've cleaned all the switches and checked and adjusted the gaps and the tension of the armature. on those relays. That's all quite good. One other thing we're going to do probably a little later on, and I think it's necessary to do. Here we go. We'll just get the camera in position so we can see. So that's the motor for the spinning disc. There's 4 screws. We'll loosen those off and we'll lubricate the motor through the dampener that's in there. Those motors are just like the motor in any pinball machine. They require lubrication. So yeah, we'll be doing that as well. Still got a bit to go here. Further inspection and work is required, but it's all coming together. The other thing we did find, and I'll just point this out, we showed you a moment ago about the wires shorting to the frame on the pop bumpers. We found a few lamp sockets very, very close to the frame. Where is one? Don't know if we can see that. It's down there, just there, very close to the frame on the
kicker.
On the kicker. So we might move that as well. We've taken the flipper mechs out, as I mentioned earlier on, and done that work. We had to fit a new spring. There was a butchered spring on one of these, so we put another spring on there and taken care of that. Both flippers have had new end of stroke switches fitted, so that's a good thing. Alright, well, as usual, we'll just keep going on. We still have a fair bit more work to do, which is keeping us very busy on this Bally Fireball. So I thought I'd take the opportunity of showing you this Bally motor that's got the spin thing on the playfield that kicks the ball around. You can take 4 screws out, 1, 2, 3, 4 each end, and you can have the whole thing in your hand. Now, just examining this, and what we noticed, if you look here, it looks like the plate that goes across at some stage the game's been broken. Well, it has. It's cast, and you can clearly see where it has broken. But fortunately, the screw holes are still intact. So what we've done, we've noticed also that we've got a screw in there. You can see the screw there, but there's also another hole in there. So I'm not 100% sure, but we're going to assume that a screw should go in there as well. So we'll probably end up putting one in there. Now what we've done, we've lightly lubricated down there. Let me show you. Just down there, just put a light drop of oil on the bearing, and a very light drop of oil on the bearing here, even though it's a brass bearing, just a very light drop. It's not noisy, it's spinning around quite cleanly, so we're happy to put that back together. Now, this motor, it's a multi-products motor. I think we mentioned earlier on that it's similar to a motor that goes in a step unit. Yep, it is. But in this case, Bally have used the spinner unit and a motor to do that. So they come out really easily, and what we'll just do to put that back, all we've got to do is just sit it down and screw it back in. So that it's nothing difficult, you haven't messed with anything, but we're going to put that screw back in first. So let's get on and do that. So we're making progress with this Bally Fireball. We've done all of the underneath of the playfield is now completed. Just trying to fix up a few little things on the plastics up the back there. And you saw we removed the whole spinner unit and lubed the motor and fitted another screw where it was missing. Now, we've only temporarily got the flippers in place. We have to do that, readjust them, but we'll do that when we get it in the game. But this is a multi-ball game. Now, Bally did several games with multi-ball. 4 million BC was another, and I used to actually own a 4 million BC. And what else? Let's think. So even back in the 60s, I think 67, 68, Bally had Capersville multi-ball. Now, when you think about that, that's a hell of an achievement for an electromechanical game, isn't it? And I think this is one of the reasons that, you know, the complexity of some of these games, particularly Bally's, is really unbelievable. You know, we counted all those relays there earlier on the motorboard, and we've got to actually go and clean and adjust a lot of those yet. So there we go. But talking about this multi-ball, let's sort of have a look how this more or less works. So there's the ball trough mechanism looking from the top of the playfield. We have a ramp, so a ball sits in the trough, and there's a ramp it's got to go up. The ball plunger pulls in. I really hit this hard, and over it goes. But the ball doesn't come out immediately. There's no ball in the shooter lane. There's the ball there. It's locked in by a cam mechanism. Now, when that operates, that will release the ball into the shooter lane, and it can be plunged and rolled up the playfield. Up to 3 balls can be in there. Now, anyone that's familiar with Bally bingos will have seen this style of switch. Bit dark down there, but there they are. That's the switch operating arm. So 3 balls can sit in there at once. Now, what can happen, you could have a ball in play, and a ball could have gone into this, what they call wotan. So it goes in here, and it can go in the kicker, but it can run down here and come out. But when the wotan operates, an arm comes up under here. This is quite clever. The arm's got like 3 levers. I think this one's got the arm. Just hang on, let's have a look. So no, this one isn't like 4 million BC. It hasn't got the lever or the bar that lets the ball step down. What happens, the ball ends up in the wotan and possibly in the Odin, which is over on the other side here. And what happens is we've got releases on the mushroom bumper. So that one there says release Odin. So Odin is the opposite side, it's over here. There's the Odin there. So if we had a ball in there, we could have a ball in each, that's not a problem. We've also got a ball in play. What it'll do, if you hit this mushroom bumper here, that's wotan release, that'll release the ball over on the right, and the mushroom bumper opposite on the right, the Odin release, will release this one. So then you'll have multi-ball. You've also got a ball gate here. You can get the ball back. There's a ball gate here. So it's quite clever. And once all the balls are drained, they'll rest on the switch in the trough. But if you haven't released a ball, the balls will remain in the hole for the next player or till the next game. So once again, it's quite a fascinating sort of thing on it. Now, having said that, that gives you a bit of an overview of it. We've almost finished this playfield, but what we're going to do is we removed the motor board out of the machine, and we'll bring that in next and work on that. Now we have the motor board on the bench. We've had a bit of a look around, as we always do, and one thing we've noticed, it's amazing what you can find actually when you just look and touch and feel. We have a relay here which is called the Fire Gods target relay, Now, I'll operate that relay, and it may be hard to see, but that relay is extremely spongy and non-responsive. That should snap back. This relay isn't. So when we service this relay, we're going to clean all the switches, which Graham's doing now, and then we're going to adjust the spring tension on the switches to give it more strength to spring back properly. A snappy relay is a happy relay. How's that sound? I just invented that. A snappy relay is a happy relay. So here he goes. He's going to put that on the long blade, and he's just going to bend it forward towards the camera. That way you're going to put more spring tension on the ladder, and it'll make that snap back a whole lot better. Look at that. I can even hear it going snap.
That's it, done beautiful.
How's that? And that's how easy it is. And that's how quick it was. Just a little bit of a file down between the top of the coil, the head, and onto the armature plate.
It's right there.
So let's have a look. Oh, beautiful. We're happy with that. There's Spanky there having a bit of a look.
He's happy.
He's happy. Now, as I said in opening this video, this has got a pile of relays on it, just an inordinate amount, and we're going to have to go through every single one. Now, another thing that we often like to do, and this is up to you whether you do it, is to just hook a meter up to the common line and just go over each coil and check that it's all right, because I'm looking in here and I can see a couple of coils that have got burn marks on them, which probably isn't too bad, but here's how we do this. So hooking the meter one side of the lead onto the common side of the score motor, and then coming over here, and we've got our meter there hooked up. So what we'll do, we'll just check each relay. Now there you go. That's high in ohms, that particular one. It's a kicker relay. What you're looking for, anything greater than anything less, I should say, than 1 ohm can often be considered a poor relay, or of course no reading, an open circuit. But if it's 0 ohms, it's often a broken wire off the lug of the coil or something like that, that you can get and fix. Just if you ever see that, remember you've got to get a knife and scrape the wire, the insulation off the copper wire, and to be able to solder it. So we've just tested those relays and they're all okay. So you just go through the lot of them. Now these are 50 volt relays, so they're different than Gottlieb in a way, where Gottlieb of course only works on 25 volt relays. So you can happily go through and do each and every coil. Just watch out, sometimes you might get where a common is, it works off a different common line, so you've just got to look out for that sort of thing. So that's what we do with these. Go through every one, check them out, make sure they're working. Now earlier on in the video as well, we mentioned about the fuse, the notoriously bad belly fuse holders. Well, we are going to change. Someone's already done one. We're going to change. We've got some more here in the packet. We get those fuse holders and we're going to change those now. So we've got a bit of work to do. We've got to go through every relay, clean every switch, check that it's nice and springy rather than spongy. And a lot of people would go and just cut the spring on the relay. Well, that really isn't the solution. That's like a band-aid solution. So don't do that. Check your tension on your switch blades. Very important. Now the score motor in this has got 11 cams on it, and we've got to clean each of those switches as well. And remember, when it talks about switch stack A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A is generally regarded as being the bottom stack. So on this one over here we're looking at, that cam's got the little nodules on it, so that's an impulse cam. You know, when you score 500 points, it clicks 5 times. These have got 2 lots of those because they're 180 degree cam cycle, 90 each turn. So the motor run out switch ensures that the motor does the right thing and gets it to the home position. Also remember that the Bally score motors have the armature. They've often got a spring-loaded armature in the motor itself. They can get very gummed up and sticky, and if they do, the motor will either underrun or overrun. More often, if it's sticky, it will overrun, therefore causing the switches to be not right at the home position. Just behind the meter there, we've got the ball count unit. Not sure if we've got to do any work on that, haven't had a look. And this other unit here is the flash motor unit. That's it there. And that's to do with the scoring of the lights go up and down for the 1 to 5,000 points in, I think it's the Wotan hole. So that's just like a score motor also. It's once again made by Multi Products, like we were talking about on the spinner motor there earlier on. So there's lots to do in these Bally games, lots and lots to do. So the next video we'll do will be a troubleshooting video. We'll reassemble the score motor into the machine and we'll plug it all back in, pray that there's no bad Jones plugs, and then we'll go through the troubleshooting procedures of this particular game. So that, I'll remind you, is a separate video. So we hope you'll join us for the next troubleshooting video. That should be fun. We'll show you how we fix any faults we find. By doing what we do here, we often hope to find faults, but you know, sometimes you miss things. You might miss a switch not quite touching right and things like that. So Graham's, you can see his hand there, he's cleaning and adjusting relays as we speak. So all in the day in the life of a pinball mechanic in the goat shed. Now please remember to subscribe to our channel and give us the big thumbs up for our videos. We would greatly appreciate that. And in the meantime, till we see you again, this has been another Goat Shed presentation.